welcome to my new work at home office, complete with MHA banner for effect. I wanted to talk to you as a group of area managers today, because we've been talking about you, the leadership team, and with the RDs and head of retirement living, obviously, and Jonathan, head of Live at Home. What we recognise is clearly that you are at a critical juncture in terms of the role that you play, both in terms of the support to your various services, but also in terms of then providing that accountability, that overview of compliance, and that feed up of information that is just so utterly valuable at the moment in terms of trying to make sure that we are able to monitor and identify areas where we need to act to make sure that we keep our services as safe as we possibly can at this difficult time. I had a kind of prepared script that I'd worked on with some colleagues, but this lunchtime I had a conversation with Mark, who is the home manager at Heather Grange, and that conversation really encapsulated everything that's great about this organisation, but some of the elements really that I wanted to talk to you about in terms of taking care of yourself and taking care of your staff. Over the last couple of days, Mark has found himself in a situation where a couple of his residents fell ill with COVID-19, and two of them have now died. And then this morning, a very long-standing and valued member of his team, Lynn, passed away as a result of COVID-19. And that has clearly been devastating for him and for his team. She has worked for Heather Grange for around 15 years. She was a cook and she was part of the life of that place. And that is profoundly felt. I talked to Mark about the impact of it and about how he was managing his team. And he kind of captured the best of MHA. And it's that best that I know you are all demonstrating day in, day out at the moment. He talked about how he whinges up and doesn't whinge down, how he makes sure, and he really kind of highlighted his respect for Bridget and Paula as his line managers in terms of their availability. But he passes that up so that he can be strong for his team. And I know that you are being strong for your teams at the moment. He talked about how he is trying to keep on top of all the issues to do with quality in the home, but he also crucially talked about how he is making sure he is taking care of his team. He is making sure that they have got kind of places where they can stop and just have a drink and a chocolate bar. He's trying to make sure that when things are tough, particularly on a day like today, that they don't have too much time just to dwell together, but actually they go off and do some work to try and pick up and pace and deal with the grief that they're experiencing. He talked about how he is at a place where he knows he's got to put his arms around the team, and the team have got to put their arms around each other. And that is something that I know you are doing with your teams as you seek to keep them going. So I asked Mark, and how are you? And he talked about drawing on his experience. He talked about how he is working to make sure that he is taking care of himself. He talked about the good support network that he'd got outside. He talked about the value of Rachel Starkey and the chaplains coming in to support the team today, and how he was actually going to try and get away a bit early because he'd been coming in at 5 o'clock every morning and not going till 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock sometimes at night. He knew he had to take care of himself to take care of his team. He is such an example of what I know you are all doing out there, making the difference that you are. So my message to you is really quite simple. Please, please take care of yourselves. Please whinge up. Don't feel the need to whinge down. And I know you don't. But please pass it up to us because we want to support you in every which way we can. And I know I can speak for your managers above you, and I know I can speak for the leadership team in that respect. I also know from talking to Mark that he was reflecting that there will come a time at the end of all this when we will need to provide the space for our people to grieve and to work through somehow some of the trauma that they are going through at the present time. And you'll need to do that too, because you're taking an awful lot of their concern, their worry, and the pressure onto yourselves as well. And we'll need to do that. And that will involve some good things as too, some parties to celebrate, kind of like the end and the new beginning. But it will also be about coming to terms with what we have been through as teams and as individuals, and with our families as well. We don't know exactly how this is going to pan out over the weeks and months ahead. We don't know the pace of it. It will catch us by surprise. And Mark talked eloquently about just the pace of this wretched disease and how it takes people so quickly. So he's been spun this week in terms of what has happened in his home, and he is trying to support his team to take care of themselves within that space as well. So know that you are held. Know that your colleagues are trying to put their arms around you as much as you are putting your arms around your colleagues. So take care out there, people. We really value what you're doing. We couldn't do it without you. And I don't think I could have hoped that one MHA would be such a potent force, because that's what's happening out there. And I know from the way that Live at Home colleagues have come along and supported into our services, as well as developing new services on an ongoing basis to support vulnerable members of the community out there. I know that colleagues are working so hard in terms of procurement to get all the stuff out to you, and the IT and all our support services in terms of HR and finance are trying to support as best we can. We will get it wrong from time to time, and we'll need good grace with one another to cope with that. But we are listening and we want to support. So as I say, take care of yourselves, and just a huge thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.